2 minutes ago. What's up, friends? It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. Happy Wednesday, halfway through. We have made it. I am so happy to have Jaren and Rosie here. They were both speakers at eBay Open. I had the pleasure of meeting them at our week at headquarters. Dana was supposed to be here with us. She does consignment. I was super excited to talk to her about how to kind of do consignment and her business model, but she's in hurricane village right now. So she did not make it. And everyone out there who is kind of in that right now, we are thinking about you and I'm praying for your safety. So if you guys are joining us in the live, let us know who is here. We're going to focus the chat on inventory and how to source. We all kind of source in different ways, kind of chat that way. But if you have any general questions on reselling, these are definitely great people to be asking. So as people kind of hop on, I will let you guys introduce yourself if you want.
Rosie, you want to go first?
Oh, thank you. So my name is Rosie. I've been selling since 2007, went full-time a few years ago. As I mentioned before, I sell on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, the Real World, ThredUp, Amazon Marketplace, Craigslist.
Ooh.
So a little bit of everything. I sell mostly women, men's, kids fashions, focus mostly on women's fashion, anything from clothing, shoes, accessories, purses, to home goods, a little bit of everything.
That's
so yeah.
Awesome. And my name is Jaren Moore, and I've been selling for 5 years, full-time for 2 years. I sell primarily men's pre-owned clothing, t-shirts, hats, jeans, shorts, pants. And I do have a few women's items, not as much because you guys are really, really picky for some reason. I don't know why. But not as much women's stuff, although y'all are really good at shopping. And then some kids stuff to go along with it. And I want to, so primarily on eBay, I want to start selling on some of the other platforms as well. I have some stuff on Facebook, on Poshmark, because I used to sell on those platforms pretty heavily. And then I scaled back whenever I started focusing more on eBay. But I like to get it to where I can have a different product offering on each of those platforms. I just don't know how I would go about doing it just yet. So that's something I'm going to try to work on going forward, though.
So having different inventory on different platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't want to cross list, just because when I was cross listing, like I would run into the duplicates a little too often.
Yeah.
And I hate like telling the customer after they've already purchased an item that, you know what, I cannot give this item to you because it already sold on different platforms. Like I mean,
as long as it's not on eBay.
Yeah, I know.
We're on all the platforms. So what do you think? Like, as long as I am very, very, very diligent, and that doesn't happen on eBay because you get in trouble.
Yeah.
Once a week, it probably happens on Poshmark. And I'm like, sorry, Rosie, because you're on like 17 top.
It's difficult. It's hard, especially when you're selling like during the holidays. So sorry, my dogs are running up and down the hall. No. When you're selling during the holidays and you're selling so much more than you're used to. And it happens quite often, believe it or not, where I sell the same thing minutes apart in Poshmark and on eBay, sometimes even on Mercari. And I'm just like, how is it that 3 people in different parts of the world thought to buy the same thing from the same person? So yeah, like Sarah said, I have to cancel Poshmark and I have to cancel Mercari. They're a little more lenient versus eBay. eBay could get suspended. You could get in trouble. I'm not going to lie, I have.
Lessons learned. Yes.
A lot of lessons learned. It's difficult. It's hard to keep track. If you're not disciplined enough to delete it right away as soon as you make the sale on all your platforms, you're going to run into that problem. And it's quite embarrassing to have to explain to your customers, hey, by the way, I can't sell it to you. I sold it to someone else and I'm going to pick them over you, So it doesn't give for good business, representation.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
I think most full-time resellers or anyone who is selling on multiple platforms runs into it. Rosie, do you keep it like all in like list perfectly your vendor or something, or you're going into each platform every time it sells and taking it off?
Into each platform only because I have multiple sizes sometimes of the same items. So I'll have like on eBay, how you have size 5, 6, 7, or 8. So individually, I mean, I do have the capability of doing it on Vendu, the program that I used to delete, but I don't trust it as much. And it's not that the program is bad. It's just me.
Yeah. No. Because I used to use List Perfectly for that too, and now I'm just on Poshmark and eBay, and I'm like, it's just easy enough for me to go to eBay as it is, because I can do it as soon as it sells if I'm out, like right, like I just get on my phone and take it off of eBay. I honestly don't even take it off of Poshmark.
You just leave it on there.
Well, my virtual assistant does it once a week, and so. Which is why it's a once a week he goes in and takes everything off, but it
Yeah.
doesn't. The thing with Poshmark is you have to scroll through. Their search is getting so much
Oh
better.
gosh.
But trying to find it, I'm like, well, this is taking me a half hour. I'm not doing
Yeah.
it, especially on
Yeah.
your phone. It was getting to be too much. Let's check in with a chat and then we'll get into this. Is a general conversation, but I do want to talk a little bit about inventory and how we all source. Circus Flips is here. Thanks for becoming a member. The past week or two, I announced I'm doing YouTube memberships. So if you guys want a little bit more exclusive content, more support with your dashboards, analytics, all of that, check out my memberships. Thanks for coming. Oh, that's me. Anna is here.
Hey,
Anna.
Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Hey.
She was at eBay Open with us as well. She did a presentation on bins, and Anna and I are going to be doing a weekly reseller chat, kind of like a wrap up to the week every Friday. So I think in theory, my first one is scheduled. I don't remember if I made it live on YouTube or not. So if it is scheduled, go over and hit the reminder. If not, keep an eye out for it. Hello from Arkansas. Hello, hello. So many cross-listings tools are starting to automatically end when it sells. Oh, automatically. Like you don't even have to go in and do it. Do tell us more, Katie.
Yeah, what is this tool?
Yes, please.
Yes, I'm interested to know. I use List Perfectly, and if you're interested, there is a code down below. I use List Perfectly, but I just use it to cross list. I don't keep anything in it, like inventory management, because I'm just on 2. Rosie, do you keep all your stuff in Bendu, or do you?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So for inventory management too.
Okay. Well, we talked about my inventory management, which lacks a lot of help. But Anna was sweet enough to share her inventory system with me. So we're going to tackle that. We're moving some stuff around at our warehouse. So we're going to tackle that starting next week. So I'm really excited to finally get organized.
How many items do you have in your store?
In my entire warehouse, not listed and listed, with all platforms, close to 12,000.
Ooh.
Oh my God. Bad.
And like, what's your current inventory system right now?
Just in bins by category and size. So it's really bad.
Okay. So does it take you a long time to pull your items once they've shipped?
It's terrible.
Or once they've been ordered?
I'm going to be very transparent and honest. That is not my strongest suit when it comes to my business.
Yeah.
Being organized, I grew so fast. Within 6 months, I went from having minimum maybe 800 items to buying within months up to 10 pallets. So it was like this. So it was just go time. I was trying to recoup my money back. So I was listing, and I wasn't really organizing until I kind of went downtime a little, and I started to try to organize and just separate by category and by size. But that's not helping as much, because I have 10 bins of sweater size small, 5 bins of sweater size medium, so they're not even color coded. So it's really bad. I'm just going to be really transparent. It takes me a long time,
but it's hard, and I like that we're talking about this, because it is hard when you're like, you have all this inventory, you bought 10 pallets, that's like thousands of items, and you're like, can I organize it and not make it, or list it and then I have a chance of making money, right? And most of us are going to pick the listing, because that's how we make our money. We don't make money organizing. And trying to do all of those back end things. Like, I hate putting returns away. I hate it.
I do too. I struggle.
I struggle
with putting those away.
I don't. I just don't.
Like you.
They're all right here.
That's about how mine looks too.
And I have them on my to-do list every week, and it just moves to the next week, and then it keeps moving to the next week. So KB Worth is saying that List Perfectly has hinted at it, should be announcing. So that's exciting. I think we're talking back to them automatically taking it off. I think I would keep my inventory in List Perfectly if that was the case, because that's so time consuming, especially, Rosie, you have 10,000 items. Jaron, how many do you have?
I've got 2,500.
Yeah. So I'm right about there too. And you're selling 10 items ish, 20, whatever items a day. That's, if they're on multiple platforms, taking them off is time consuming.
Absolutely.
BB, thank you so much for joining. Tori is here. Thanks for joining, Tori. All right, let's get a little bit into sourcing. So maybe let's start with your background, all the places that you've tried sourcing. We were talking a little bit about the VINs before we hopped on the live, but let's talk all the things that you've tried sourcing and what you like and dislike about each of them, and then we'll get into kind of what you're doing right now.
Do you want me to go?
Who?
Sure.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Whoever wants to talk.
Okay.
You just raise your hand.
So, okay. I've tried pretty much anything under the sun, things around my house, friends and family stuff, donations from friends and families. I don't do consignment. Been asked to, but I don't. I don't like to be responsible. I've done RA, retail arbitrage, estate sales, garage sales, thrift stores. Love the thrift stores. Tried the bins. Did not succeed. We'll talk about that. And
are you just not scrappy enough, Rosie?
apparently not. Apparently not.
Got to be aggressive, you know that.
Man, believe me, I can be, but it gets scary at times. Especially our bins is like way in the corner of a town that's, not the most trustworthy. So I'm like, nope. And most recently, I've done the last 3 years liquidation pellets from Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Costco. I think I've tried Target. Yeah, so that's it. Likes and dislikes. Thrift stores, I could handpick. I enjoy that. Thrill of the hunt. Retail arbitrage. It's a little competitive. There's a lot of resellers here where I live. So if you're not first to the sales, you're probably not going to get much. Oh, I do outlets, a lot of outlets. I have a lot of friends that work at different outlets, and they call me when they need to liquidate stuff or when they're having a really good sale. I love that because I get bulk at a very discount price. And liquidation pellets, I love going through the pellets. If you go through my Instagram past videos, you'll hear the excitement in my voice, but very expensive.
Yes.
You need a lot of room. There's a lot of added fees. And lately I have not bought any pellets because we've had a lot of problems with the freight shipping theft. So a lot of my stuff coming in missing half of it. They drop one pellet off at a total different warehouse. And what a lot of people don't know about liquidation pellets is the company that sells them to you, they're not going to reimburse you. They're not going to give you a refund. They're not.
Wow.
Oh, really? There's no insurance on it?
I didn't know that.
Nothing.
Wow.
On like any of them?
Nope. It is, you have to fight tooth and nail to get some credit. And it's credit to buy more liquidation pellets. I mean, we've literally, the last pellet I got was delivered to a different warehouse, signed by somebody completely different. And I paid, I think, $1,500. It was here in California. All of my designer stuff was missing. My boxes were open. And when I got to my warehouse at my scheduled appointment time, my boxes were just placed in front of my warehouse door and they were all open, rifled through.
And the shipper doesn't cover? Does it go through FedEx?
No, they're different freight companies, just whoever they can hire. And it's one of their biggest challenges right now is finding sources, truck drivers that want to deliver. So you have to open a case with the company that sold it to you. I've been fighting this one since the beginning of July, and they offered me $200. Well, they gave me $200. I mean, not even one of the designer items, would have sold for. And you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So I mean, this is interesting. I'm glad that you're on here. I'm not glad that this is happening to you. I am glad that you are on here sharing that with everyone else. I was doing liquidation maybe 1.5 years ago and kind of got out of it and thinking about doing it again. But now I'm like, oh, well, if that's the case, like you don't want half of your stuff not showing up, right? Because that's the capital of it that you're putting up front. Oh, Rosie. So what are you doing now?
It happens. I mean, I still have tons of pallets that I haven't gone through, a ton of stuff. So the inventory's there. To get, my thrill of sourcing, I'll go to the outlets, the local outlets. I have a UGG outlet that sells, I think, was it somebody that was there at eBay headquarters had told me that they used to shop at the UGG outlet that I go to. And it's my number one seller. They're B grade. So basically it's overstock, some returns, new without box, and I get them relatively cheap, and those are my biggest profit makers.
Do you know someone there that like helps you liquidate it out, or you just go shop when they have a sale and stuff?
No, it's a smaller outlet that not a lot of people know about. Okay. So there's a group of about 10 of us that go regularly and shop, especially closer to the holidays. But yes, I do know the staff there, and they do reach out to me when they have a bulk amount of like UGG clothing, jackets, pajamas, robes, socks, accessories, and they say, hey, you want to buy this out? And I take advantage of it, even if I have to buy over 100 pieces at a time. But the price makes up for it. So a lot of my inventory comes in wholesale or bulk price, but I still shop, the clearance sales, the Nordstrom rack sales and whatnot. It's just fun.
So it sounds like, sorry, Jaren, we'll get to you.
No, you're fine. I can wait.
Yeah, I just am coming up with all these questions as you're talking. I mean, it sounds like a lot of what you're doing here too is you have to have a lot of capital up front. And I know that you got the eBay grant. I can't remember what it's called. Is that kind of what helped you get into it? Because I mean, if you were buying like 10 grants at a time, or are you like saving, you don't have to tell us all your finances as much as you're willing to share, but for people getting into it, you're having to put up a lot of capital up front. Do you like have a line item and say like this much is for large buyouts when someone reaches out to me, or was a grant kind of what helps you get into it? How did that?
No, when the pandemic started, I quit my job not knowing the pandemic was going to start, and I started working for a different company, and then we were laid off. I mean, luckily the company I work for paid us for 6 months, a great company. So during that time, I just said, this is a sign that I need to push my business. And I had a lot of money saved up. So I used a lot of my own money to buy the liquidation pallets then, because the stores were closed. Nordstrom, every store was closed. So they had all this backlog of inventory. And a lot of people were worried, about COVID, not working, not having money. So they didn't want to invest money. So I was getting pallets for $800, $1,000, dirt cheap. So I just used
That's when I got into it. That's when I got into it, is because they had all this overstock, right? And they weren't selling it. And then they started going up because they started buying better. And so you couldn't get nearly as good as stuff, and you were paying more for it.
Now it's tripled in what you're paying, and the shipping companies are charging a lot more. Back then, I could get one shipped from Illinois for $300. Now it's $800-$900 just to ship alone.
I didn't think from, because I was looking at them this weekend if I want to do it.
I would love to talk about this all the time, because a lot of people think, liquidation pallets, oh my God, it's so fun. It's this. It sure is. Going through the boxes, the work behind it, the capital that's tied up, and not having protection to get a refund if something happens. You have to pay if you don't have a forklift. You have to pay for lift gate fee. I mean, there's a lot of things that are tied upon it. So you have to have capital, and you can't expect to make that money back right away. It's going to take months and months and months. So basically, we invested, all of our savings, well, not all of our savings, but a lot of our savings into it. And we were hustling so hard, so fast that we were getting our return, and we were able to buy more, basically pay ourselves back for what the pallet cost, the shipping, and then take the profits and then buy another one and another one and another one. And they were coming in so cheap that I was able to capitalize on that and really take advantage of it. To this day, I still have a few pallets that, pallets of shoes that just need a little bit of cleaning, or missing shoelaces, or minimal things that if I'm in a spot like right now where I'm not confident of buying pallets because I don't trust the shipping companies, I could work off of what I have.
Which is nice, because that's where I struggle, is having all of this inventory coming in. It's definitely my bottleneck. Jaren, we're going to get to you in a minute, because I know you kind of started full-time reselling around the same time, right? Like we didn't know the pandemic was coming. If you guys haven't checked out eBay for Business podcast, Jaren was on. I listened to it yesterday. I think it came out maybe on Monday.
I think it was last week.
Last week. Okay. I was laughing so hard. You guys need to listen to it. They were just having, lots of really good content in it, but like they were just having a ball in there. Tori's saying, I've never done pallets, and this is why. I think she was talking about the shipping. I just got another pallet and it was great, but I've also had problems like Rosie is talking about.
Oh, hi Mel. I love her. She's awesome.
So I do have a question for Rosie.
Yeah.
So, and you too, Sarah, because I'm sure you've done the liquidation pallet. So will you take out all the good stuff, like the more expensive stuff, and list that first? Or will you just list all of it at the same time? Like, how does your process work?
Well, my process is I only buy manifested pallets. I try to stay away from and I'm going to tell you guys this story, and it's going to make you guys cringe, but I bought a pallet that was not manifested, and my gut was saying, don't do it. But the picture showed some designer shoes, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to make so much money when I received it. Everything was damaged, and I'm going to tell you guys how much I spent on it, and you guys are probably going to die. It was all a loss. And so I lost $10,000 on that.
You couldn't sell any of it?
Nothing.
That hurts.
Nothing. So lesson learned. But as far as the process, so that kind of ties together.
I think Rosie's getting everyone out of the palette game with her.
Yeah, I'm like,
I know
there's a mass
if you
exodus.
can do it, and if you do it right, start small, start slow, be smart about it, because it's a 50-50. It could go good, it could go bad. I said, I stick to manifested inventory only. Especially after that situation.
Yeah. But even that, it comes, because I've only done manifested too. And it doesn't always come exactly what you
it doesn't. There's good and there's bad. Yeah. So I just get my manifest. I go through I take out obviously all the expensive stuff. I make sure that I receive everything on my manifest. I separate it by, yes, exactly like you said, designer, higher end, more pricey items. Those are going to get processed first. And then, the medium items, mediocre items that'll get second. And then the last will be, stuff that I may send to ThreadUp, or I may have Instagram sales, or I may have, small warehouse sales. So they're separated in those categories. But let's get this right. A lot of the designer stuff is fun to get in your palette, but it's not going to move fast.
No,
it's not going to move fast. So don't get excited about a palette and say, oh my God, it has Gucci, it has this. It's not going to move fast. I have designer stuff from 3 years ago that I've yet to sell.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
I think the sweet spot, because I did women's similar palettes as well. And I think the sweet spot was like maybe $50 to $100. That was more like the current or last season is what was moving pretty quickly. I only did manifested too, because I'm like way risk adverse. Like that even manifested like freaked me out. I would just go through and put it, like, I bulk everything. So I would put all the jeans together. I'd put all the jackets together. I'd put all that and just list it that way. It didn't matter on how expensive it was. It just all got listed. I think now if I get into the lives, I don't know. I go back and forth. I think because eBay announced that they're doing lives, Poshmark is doing lives now. I haven't gotten on Whatnot yet. I don't think I'm going to, but I could see some liquidator. I've seen some people who do palettes keeping, that top 40, 30%. That's really good. And then just selling off either at cost or making a buck or two in live sales. But I just don't know if that's worth it. Or then you're putting your name out there as selling like all these little low end items. I don't know. Or taking it to like, I have like 4 consignment shops around me, like Plato's and Clothes Mentor and stuff like that. And so I could see maybe taking it there just to like recover my cost. I don't know. I just listed everything when I was first doing it because there was a pandemic and I couldn't get anything.
Gotcha.
So I couldn't be picky. I think if I did it now, I would maybe be a little pickier. So Jaren, let's talk about, I know we were talking before this that you did the bins. And now you have a new strategy that we'll get into, but did you do anything other than the bins, or have you kind of dabbled around? What did you like the best?
Yeah, so I basically dabbled around with everything. Like initially I started off with just like an Xbox that I had around the house, some shirts, just some stuff that I wanted to get rid of. And then, so when I worked at the Texas Tech Health Sciences Center, I was purchasing manager, and that required me having like lots of connections with wholesalers and whatnot. And so I was like, okay, I'm already doing this. So why don't I start getting some wholesale accounts and, do some drop shipping? And so like I started developing like this network of just distributors. And I started like doing drop shipping on eBay. I wouldn't advise it.
Why not? Tell me more. I was on a live yesterday and people are talking about drop shipping.
Yeah. So what would scare me is, okay, like for my distributor, right? They would have so many GPSs, right? And so in my inventory, I put, okay, hey, we got 5 of these. And then inevitably somebody would place an order, right? For however many. And I would go to place the order with my distributor and they would be out.
Ooh, and then
they wouldn't have any more. And they're like, oh, we're not going to have any until, 5 days from now. And it's just like,
so then you cancel it?
Yeah. So I would try to do whatever I could. I'm like, do you mind holding on for, a week? You know what I mean? Can I ship these out to you at this point? Like it just became too much because it wouldn't happen all the time, but it would happen enough to the point where I was just like, I got to have more control of the inventory. It was good. Like the pricing
today, because it's your name that's on the line, right?
It's your name that's on the line. Like the margins were good on it, on some of the stuff. but like I said, it just came too much. It came to be too much because I was having to try to like find, okay, where can I get this product from now that my supplier doesn't have it? So I'm looking over here at different companies trying to find it. And I'm just like, this is just, it's a mess, you know? And so I just decided that, you know, drop shipping is not for me. So I gave that up. Started going to like the Goodwill stores. And I was like, man, this is a little too expensive in the beginning. For me, it was. I felt like it was, at least. And we mentioned the bins. So I found the bins, started going over there. You got to be aggressive at the bin.
For people who are new to reselling, just the bins are the Goodwill outlets. So instead of like them going through everything and hanging it up and pricing it, they just do raw donations or things that didn't sell. I know you guys know this, but for people watching, they do raw donations. So they just open the bag and put it into the bin, or sometimes they also, things that didn't sell at the Goodwill stores, they put in, and they're these big tubs, which is why people call them the bins.
Yeah.
You're just going through items. It's by the pound. So it's usually much cheaper, but you're spending a lot more time doing it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Not everyone is up to the term.
Yeah.
We all know what the bins are, but.
Yeah. So it's just a big clearance store. Ours is, we just call it the pound store. For us, it's $1 per pound. So it's pretty cheap. So once I found that spot, like it really helped me to just kind of take off as far as inventory. Along the way, I've done some buyouts. I've also hit up some garage sales, estate sales. Let's see here. So my uncle, his church, they did a garage sale. And basically we agreed at the end of the garage sale, I would come and pick up everything. So the problem was it was all women's stuff. Now at the time I was like, okay,
send it my way, Jaron. Send it my way.
at the time I was like, man, I want to get more into women's, you know what I mean? Try to learn a little bit more. And it was so difficult for me because it was slowing me down because I didn't know how to list women's stuff, right? This collar and, you know, this type of fabric and this sleeve. And I was just like, it's just a short sleeve, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that simple, you know, but that's not what you guys want to hear. And so I'm like, it was too much for me. And so I got all of it, but that I learned a lot buying, or I learned a lot from getting all that stuff. And it was just that I wasn't set up to do women's stuff at that point. So it would have been best to just not even have gone that route. Let's see here. Oh, and then also,
do you do any women's, or you're like, I'm not even trying to mess with that, you're gonna do men's?
So I'll do women's, right? But it's got to be simple stuff.
I feel like we're in the same boat where I'll do men's, but it's got to be like, if I see a men's Patagonia jacket, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, sure.
But other than that, I'm like, I don't know anything.
Well, men's stuff is simple. It's a lot.
Well, so I take it back. I think the harder part for me with men's is it's harder to find because y'all like wear it to death.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And I've mentioned this several times, but men don't get any love. When you go into, you know, the thrift stores, you can't even find the men's stuff.
Because men don't donate it. Like, my husband would still be wearing his cargo shorts from Y2K, which are coming back. It would have been the original Y2K if I wasn't like, get rid of that, dude. Like, there's a hole in it.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. But I'm just like, we need more men's stuff. So that's why I've been wanting to bring in more women's stuff. Because like, if I'm going to scale to the heights that I want to, in my area at least, like, there's an abundance of women's stuff. And so I'm like, okay, hey, I need to start increasing my percentages of women's items. But, you know, that's going to come with me getting some more brand knowledge and, you know what I mean?
Well, so Tori's forth that effort. Her husband does all the listing, and it took him a while to learn all the terms, but now he's an expert.
Oh, good. Yeah. So there's hope.
There is hope. It is a lot to learn. And I do it because I've spent almost 38 years doing it. Like, I've just been wearing it and buying it, knowing it, right? And so it doesn't, to me, I don't think about it because I'm like, well, yeah, obviously that's a blouse. Like, I just know it.
Yeah.
But you can find enough inventory to do, how many are you listing a day or a week?
So right now, just 20.
A day?
Yeah, 20 a day.
That's a lot to find. I don't think I could find 20. So let's get into what you're sourcing now and how you're finding, because 20 items a day, you do 7 days a week?
Yeah, 7 days a week.
Okay, so that's like 140 items.
140 items. Mhm.
Yeah. So how are
Yeah.
you getting your inventory? I couldn't find 140 men's items in like
I know.
ones that are worth selling that don't
Yeah.
have holes in them or like aren't, Target.
Yeah. So, how I source my stuff now is I have somebody who sources for me. We call them sorcerers, right?
A wizard.
Like not, yeah, not the wizard, the Harry Potter wizards, but he sources for me, and I met him at the bins. Right, he's a fellow reseller, and I noticed about him that he paid very close attention to detail. He knows brands. He's willing to look up and research items. Like he has just this clean image about him, very honest. And I was like, man, like, because he's up there all day and he's looking for vintage stuff though.
Yeah.
And with vintage stuff, like they're kind of few and far in between. And I had been looking for somebody to source for me, going to the flea markets. I was like, man, I don't think this is going to be a good fit, just because the people that were up there, they didn't really understand reselling, I don't think, at least online. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I can, establish a partnership with any of these guys. And so, like I said, me and him would always chat, always have conversations. And just this one day, I was like, man, let me ask him if he wants to start sourcing for me. And so I went up and I told him, hey, why don't we agree to this price right here? You're up here all day. You already know what I like, just simple stuff, mall brand stuff. If you can find me this amount of pieces per week, I'll pay you this amount, and that'll be that. And he was like, yeah, like I think that's a really good idea. Because like I said, he's looking for that vintage stuff already. He's gonna be up there all day anyway, so you might as well get paid for your time. So we agreed, and we've been going strong for, I want to say, like 6-7 months now. And like I was telling you,
if anyone out there lives in Denver, Colorado, and they want to be my sorcerer,
that's
what I need. I've tried it with a couple of people, and it's just not. Some of the people I've tried are like, well, I could sell it for more. And I'm like, yeah, but you also have a pile of 1,000 items in your garage. So are you going to sell it?
Right.
And the other thing, I don't go to the bins that often. I need to work on getting that connection. So how many hours do you think he's up there to get your 140 items a week?
So he would be up there all day. Like I said, because he's that's what he was doing before. So he literally, he would go probably around 10, and he'd leave around like 5, I guess.
So it's like all day for him to get.
Oh yeah. He's there all day.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because he's treating it like a job. And I actually talked to him last week, and I asked him a question. I was like, what would it take for me to cash you out? And essentially, like, you stop reselling and you just focus on sourcing for me. Because he doesn't really like, listing. He doesn't really like photography. He doesn't really like that stuff, and he's really good at sourcing. And so I'm like, what would it take? And so we talked about that number, and that's just the goal.
Your first employee, Jaron.
Yeah, so that's going to be the goal, is to cash him out and have him just literally focus on sourcing for me. He doesn't have to worry about putting anything on eBay, nothing like that. You know what I mean? But I want to pay him like really, really, really well. You know what I mean? Like I want to see him like crush it and do some crazy numbers. But I also know that means I got to scale. And so, but it's just something we talked about.
So without, like, as much as you're willing to tell us, because I think it's interesting when people you get to a certain level and you just can't source enough to get to the level that you want. You have to bring other employees on for various different things. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes it's for sourcing. But do you pay like by item or by pound or by hour? And like moving him on, are you thinking like he would have like just a salary and he would be your, like, how would that, as much as you're willing to indulge us, we don't have to get all the way into your finances. But I think it's interesting to hear kind of how people are setting up these relationships.
Yeah. So right now it's by the piece. So no matter what item he brings me, it's just by the piece. Like, and he knows that. And that's why I say, like, he's just such a nice guy, so generous. And, we legitimately try to do the best for each other. Yeah. Right. So I'm constantly trying to do the best for him. He's constantly trying to do the best for me. So we just have that relationship that works well. But I would say, like, going forward, like, because I still want him to just kind of be like a contractor, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want him necessarily being my employee.
Yeah.
But then I would probably pay him like per month, but it's going to be like, probably like $6,000. You know what I mean? Like, just to focus on like sourcing and, stuff like that.
But then with like a minimum, like I need at least this many items.
Yeah, he would know that. Like we got to have at least or a certain dollar amount.
Oh yes, right.
You know what I mean? Like or a dollar amount. But yeah, we definitely, because I think at some point we've been talking about it. We want to start like wholesaling. Like we want to be able to get enough inventory to where we could wholesale to other resellers if we wanted to. You know what I
That's a
mean?
lot just from the bins.
Oh no. No.
Oh, I was like, oh my God, that's so much.
No, there's not that much good stuff at the bins.
Yeah, because that's my struggle is I do the bins. The bins by far is the best price.
Yes.
But it's so hit or miss. I'll go for 2 hours and get 3 items. Right. And then I'm like, well, it's just 2 hours of my day have been spent where like the thrift store, I can at least consistently know that I'm going to get stuff,
Right.
which is a struggle. We're checking in with vintage. Do either of you guys sell vintage really?
I mean, if I come across it, I will, but I don't get it that often.
I don't know nothing about vintage. I went to an estate sale last weekend. It had a lot of vintage stuff, but I knew nothing. Yeah. And I posted videos on my social media and people were going crazy over all the stuff. And they're like, you should have got that. You should have bought that. And I'm like, I didn't know.
It's a whole nother, I mean, Tori is saying they do a lot of vintage. And I actually messaged her this week about it because I bought it. So I've been buying out closets. I'm having a hard time scaling as many items as I want because I don't love going to the bins all day, every day. And the closet that I just bought is a lot of vintage and I haven't done vintage in a while. And so I was messaging Tori. I'm like, remind me like about this. And, a lot of it's just like the zipper and the stitching to learn. Not for clothing. I don't do any of the hard goods and stuff. Anna's saying too, I never want to pay someone the bare minimum. Agreed. I think if you take care of your employees or your contractors or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've heard there's a huge market for vintage, but I never ever see anyone actually wearing vintage. You're definitely not following Tori because it's all over her social media. She wears vintage all the time. Or Breezy Brown VZ was on last week. She does it. Super Geeked is also a vintage seller. You guys can check her out. You may not even know people are wearing vintage because people will mix it with modern pieces. And a lot of vintage is coming back new, right? Like trends just repeat, right? So you go to the stores and you're seeing these Y2K 90s trends brand new, but a lot of people are just getting them from Y2K 90s, eBay or whatever. It's like Christmas at the bins. You never know, but it's exciting, but it's a time suck if you don't find anything. Yes, I wear tons of vintage and mix it. So that's kind of my struggle. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do just because we have a whole different realm. If you guys do have questions, we have probably about another 15, 20 minutes. We'll be hanging out. You guys can ask any questions. They are amazing resellers and know all the things. So if you have general questions about reselling, definitely make sure to ask anything specific about inventory as well. I've been buying out closets. It's kind of like pallets in the sense of like I just bought 1,000 items. I finally started manifesting them and asking them to send me like their Posh or eBay report because I was kind of just scrolling through their store and being like, that looks like good stuff. And I didn't have a 10,000 bad buy, but one of these ones that I got
just throw that in there, huh?
One of them, I mean, you learn, and I appreciate the transparency. I mean, I do. I really appreciate the transparency because there is so much learning that happens. You're not just good up front, and you are going to have.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah. And I'm not ashamed of it. It's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Learned. I take it as
and
that.
You help us out too when you share that information because we all have mistakes and stuff. So.
I know. I was going to get back into pallets, and now I'm like, I don't know. So I'm getting the inventory in large. I just bought 1,000 items, so it's like pallet sizes. But the cost of goods is like I'm not spending $10,000 on it. I'm spending, thrift store prices on it. And so I'm trying to get a little bit better with that. So if you guys are if you're getting out of reselling and you're trying to sell your closet,
nice little plug. There you go.
Yeah, send me a DM, mostly women's clothing and stuff. It's working, but it's also, it's a lot of processing and it's not the hand picking. Thrifting by far is the best for me, the best return. But it's the most time consuming for me because I'm going out there and buying it, right? Yeah. I think we've all kind of scaled to the level of to be listing as many as we want, you're sourcing it full time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or you're buying large pallets. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to go between and the problem with us is our thrifting is so expensive. You have to go on a sale day and our sale days are on weekends. And I am not about that life anymore.
Mm.
I used to shop on the weekends, but now that my kids are in school, I'm like, no, I want to go to their soccer games. I want
Right.
to
Yeah.
do all of that. I'm trying to get outside of that and kind of testing the waters in buying these closet buyouts. But I might have to go. Darren and I were talking a lot at the eBay Open prep about finding a sourcer. I think I need to make it go weekly to find. I may have found someone I know. She's up in Boulder that will do.
Oh, yeah, that'll work.
Fingers crossed. So if you're in Denver Metro and you like the sourcing and you like nothing else, send me a DM on Instagram. Do you put your eBay store on vacation and actually take a vacation? That's a great question,
That
Fred.
is a good question.
What do you guys do?
I do not. I have major FOMO, fear of missing out a sale.
Do you just not take vacations, or do you have employees and people that can help out if you're gone?
I take vacations. I do take vacations, but I'm still working while on vacation. I know, sad.
Yeah.
But what about shipping and stuff? How do you?
I have an employee and my boyfriend. He's been selling on eBay much longer than I have. He doesn't like it very much because, much like me, he can't find anything anywhere. So it's frustrating. And
That
then
is frustrating.
it gets really hot in the summer, really hot. So he helps out a lot. If I go, like I went to Mexico during the summer, I did shut everything down because I really wanted to enjoy the vacation. So maybe once a year I will shut it completely down. But other than that, nope. I have fear of missing out a sale.
Yeah, it's hard. Jaron, what do you do?
So, okay. So I have done the vacation setting before, but I would still accept offers, obviously wouldn't ship out anything until I got back. I would still have sales to come through. It wouldn't be as many, but I would still send out offers as well. But I've never really just shut it down completely and not worried about it. Just because, like I said, the offers are still coming in, and I want to be able to, accept the offers or decline the offers. But when we did eBay Open, fortunately, my wife was still here at the house. And so I didn't have to put it on vacation or anything. So, I mean, literally.
Your wife gets all the kudos in the world because you left her with 2 under 3, 4. Your kids are little.
So my oldest daughter, she's 4. And then my other daughter, she's 3 months now.
Yeah. And then you're and then also, can you ship for me while I'm
gone? Yeah. But so this is no knock on Rosie, but my inventory is pretty organized because I have a SKU system, and I didn't used to. And I used to be in that boat too, where it would take me all day to try to find an item. But I have numbers for everything, and it's organized because if it wasn't, she wouldn't do it for me. You know, so it literally takes 15 minutes to pull the items, and then she's faster than me at shipping stuff, to be honest. And so it takes her probably just depending on the amount, it takes her 20 minutes for everything, 20, 30 minutes, and she's done.
She's done. And it's clothing too, right?
Yeah, and it's clothing. So nice and simple. Just just a poly envelope. That's all we're putting it in, or a padded envelope.
Dreams is amazing.
Mrs. Dreams is amazing. Yeah, and she can list. I think she can list faster than me too. I think she can photograph faster. She can do everything faster.
Is this going to be a family business soon? Does she want to get into it?
Absolutely not. No. No. Absolutely. My daughter will help me out, but she does not.
She doesn't want to. Yeah, she just helps. Well, that's so nice of her for helping. I think it makes all the difference to have supportive spouses, whether they do want to get in and do it full time with you or just help out here and there.
Yeah.
I have done time away in the sense of I don't have a shipper. I do not micromanage. I am far from that kind of boss type person. Shipping freaks me. I've tried to teach 2 people shipping, and I think they probably could do it. Okay. I don't know. It just makes me so nervous because that's the last thing. If they do bad at photos, I just don't put them up, or I can fix them. But if they ship something out and it's the wrong thing, the impact that it can have on my store. It makes me, even my spouse, bless his heart. When I had COVID, he was like, I'll do it. And he's taking notes. And I was like, I'm just going to go do it. This is going to be longer to tell you what to do. I'll just go do it. Because I have a SKU system too. And I have everything it's already, my shipping's already in my eBay listing. So you would know like what you would need. And it just freaks me out that it's just that one wrong thing and the wrong buyer, and my 100% feedback is gone. Maybe once I don't have feedback anymore, I'll be more willing to deal with it.
Right.
So we have a couple of people that are saying in the chat, like Anna is saying she does handling time rather than using time away. I've done this until recently because I was talking to eBay. And so time away, you can go in and bulk edit. I know you guys know this, but for people watching, you can go in and bulk edit. And we used to have to do this, right? Go in and bulk edit and change your handling time for as long as you're going to be away. And then every day you go in and you update it until you get home, or you just leave it for the time away if you're actually away. Recently, the past couple of times I've been away, I've done time away for two reasons. One, I don't want to go in and every day and update my handling. So it automatically does that. It also automatically sends the person, like they send you an offer or a message. It's set, you can have it set up that says, hey, I'm away. I will get back to you as soon as I can. And so I like that personal touch. The biggest reason that I started doing it is if you do handling time away and you have, let's say I'm going away on Monday. And so on Sunday, I set my time away or my handling time for 3 days, but I have an offer that I've accepted on Sunday and they pay in the middle of my handling time away and I don't ship it that day, I get a ding on my shipping. Where if you're due time away, it automatically updates and it goes from when they paid. So you wouldn't get dinged. It would still say, hey, I'm away when they paid, even though they made the offer when you were still there.
Yeah.
Did I explain that well enough?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about because it happened to me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Me
so
too.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So it helps. It kind of does all the back end stuff to allow me to be away. I have yet to fully be away. I always accept offers.
Yeah.
I don't ship though. So I have done time away when I'm like actually physically out of my house. I haven't gotten to the point where I can teach someone to do it. We do have a couple questions coming in on the chat. Where would you recommend sourcing when you live in a rural area and mall brands are even hard to find?
That's a good question. I would say, I would utilize the internet, and we're already making online sales. You know what I mean? Like, so I would try to leverage the internet as much as possible. I know of a lady who's in a remote area, and she sources all of her inventory online. You can get on Whatnot and try to purchase some things. I think Goodwill has a website that you can buy from. You can buy from eBay and flip it. You can buy from Poshmark and flip it. You just kind of got to be a little bit more creative, but you can definitely leverage the power of the internet.
For sure. To add to that, most definitely the internet marketplaces. There's people that are always constantly giving things away. You might have to drive a little. You may have to offer to pay for shipping. I've done that in the past. When I do go out and source in stores, because every store has a clearance section.
Yeah.
I go straight to the clearance and I'll make it an entire day trip where I'm hitting multiple stores. That way I'm not having to go back and forth and hit their clearance racks. Just like he said, I live in California. The area that I'm at, the thrift stores have just been crazy expensive. Finding different things is also difficult for me. I guess it's different for me because my daughter's grown and I don't have to do any of the little kid duties, school practices or whatnot. So I can get out more, travel more. But if I do have to go, if I'm crunched for time and I feel like I need add something to my closet diversity, I'll go out shopping for an entire day and I'll hit whatever thrift store. I'll maximize my day in sourcing different stores, thrift stores. Marketplace, free pickups. Those are some ideas. Ask friends and family, see if they have anything that they're looking to donate.
Yeah.
I've had that happen too. So
yeah,
it's difficult, but it's definitely out there. Like you said, just use the internet. It's the power of the internet. You can find smaller liquidation companies that will sell smaller, bundles, boxes of inventory. So yeah, use your resources through the internet. There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
I know of quite a few resellers who live in rural places or maybe not the best sourcing places, and they'll do like road trip. I think, I don't know if she does it because she has to. Super Geeks is here, and I know she does a lot of road tripping, thrifting, and going to places and making it like a weekend and then get enough for the entire month. And so I don't know how rural you are doing this. But that's an option too. And there's definitely a lot of places. Tori is saying online whatnot right now. So many people are doing $1 starts. Going into, I did a whatnot live a couple weeks ago. So if you're trying to do that, you guys can head over there. If you're trying to sell or buy, there's lots of good information in it. But going into the whatnots that don't have that many people in it, because then it's not going to drive those prices up, at least for now, until people catch on. Poshmark has also started their lives. Last week they started it, and I've been seeing them, I think, almost every day. I haven't gone to any of them. That seems like a lot of energy I don't have. I don't know how people shop that way. I can't get into it, but apparently it works for some people. I can relate to you about getting more organized. You're speaking my language. Auctions is a good source. So before we hop off, if people have questions, definitely feel free. I do have Rosie and Jaren's information down below. So if you guys have questions specific for them, feel free to reach out. They are both on social media, a whole wealth of knowledge, not just in sourcing, but just in general on reselling. So if you want to reach out to them, and always, if you leave a comment or reach out to me, I'm here to help as well. The one question that I have is, what sourcing won't you do? Like, what sourcing have you tried, or that you're like, I'm not even going to try that? Like, it's off the table. Or if there is one.
I'm going to go back to the bin story we were talking about before. Yes. I love thrifting, the thrill of the hunt. The bins is ideal, for bulk, but in my area, I don't feel safe. And like I was telling them back in the day, I was a scrapper, so I could hold my own. I'm messing with people from here. I don't. I mean, they just shove you, and I'm small. I'm 5 feet tall, so I bounce like a ping pong ball everywhere. So I'm not comfortable with that. No space.
That wouldn't be good. Yeah. Wow.
So unfortunately, even though I've heard great things, I've been there. I've got great stuff. I just nope, I can't.
And it's gross. Like,
it is gross.
Raw donations, friends, so they don't go through it. Like the things that you
nasty.
It's hard to wear gloves because you want to touch things, but then also I'm like, I will get home from the bins, and my husband and kids want to give me hugs and kisses. I'm like, do not touch me right now. Like, you do not want to touch me. Let me go take a shower. Like, it's disgusting.
And there's no parking there. There's no parking there. You have to park like a country mile away. There's no shopping carts. So it's like maybe 3 shopping carts, and people are fighting over the shopping carts. So you have to handle everything, and you set it down, and people take it, and they don't care. They have no shame here. I mean,
y'all were talking. So we were talking about this a little bit before we went live, and y'all's bins are worse than ours. We don't have shopping. I never get a shopping cart. So there's never enough shopping carts, but I've never had people go through my stuff, or I've seen maybe one fight break out, almost break out, and the employees were like, get out of here.
Oh man.
But y'all's bins are wild.
For me, I'm with Anna. I know she played dumpster diving. I don't think I could do dumpster diving. That's probably the only one.
You're just here for it.
Yeah. I don't think I could do that one. But everything else, I can do. Now with the bins, because I haven't been in so long, it's been wonderful not having to go.
Yes.
Just because of all the things you mentioned. You know what I mean? It's it's just there's so many stories that I have from the bins.
Do tell, Jaren. We have 7 minutes.
Yeah, but it's just, you just never know what's going to happen. Or there was this one time, I'll give you one story. So I'm just sourcing, just grabbing through stuff and pulling it, and I just see a rat jump up, and I almost lost it in the store, almost screamed.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? I'm just was that a rat? And it just scurried along, and nobody else saw it but me. But I was just I'm glad I have gloves on.
Yes.
For one, but I was just this stuff is nasty. You know what I mean? This stuff is nasty right here.
I can't do rats. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I've never seen a rat. I've seen spiders, but not a rat. And touch something wet, and you're like, I don't even want to know what that was.
Yeah, or something's sticky or something like that. You're just oh. So every time I go, I wear gloves. I gotta wear gloves.
See, I can't. I've tried it, and it's just not the same, because you can't you can reach in and feel something and know that that's gonna be something good.
Yeah, I understand that, but yeah, I don't take any more chances.
Oh, Anna, I mean, imagine what a paradise that would be for a rat.
Yeah, I know for the rat, but I almost lost my lunch that day. So I was like, no.
Yes. And when people on the internet are like resellers are gouging us and they're making, why do they charge so much? This is why. This is one of the reasons why
This is one of the
we
reasons
do
why.
this and y'all are
Yes.
going to.
Yeah.
I just want to know what bins. I see people post their bins and they're all organized, nice and neat. Mine do not look like that. Anything like I don't know where. I'm willing to commute.
Like what kind of organizing?
Like they're really clean and they have like plethora of bins full of stuff. At mine, you have to literally fight to get, a mall brand shirt.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a lot of resellers that post videos of being in their bins and it's like, wow, where is that? It's so nice. It's so clean. The lights work. The employees, want to be there.
I mean, our lights work. Come to Denver. Ours is still kind of scrappy. Not as bad as this. I've never seen a rat and never gotten in a fight, but we have lights.
You've never been in a fight at the bins before?
I have not, but I'm also not like an aggressive. Like if someone tried to fight with me, I'd be like, okay, you can have it.
Yeah, that's normally how I am.
Yeah,
yeah, same here. Yeah, because there's been people like they'll like play tug of war with the shoes or whatever, because shoes are the big thing. Like when they roll out the shoes, it's like a herd of people that just go to the shoes and they'll all just be grabbing onto them or whatever. That's why I stopped doing shoes. I was just like, it's just not even worth it. Like I don't want to deal with that.
I very rarely do the new bin of shoes because of that. And especially if they roll out our hard goods and shoes together. Ooh. And so oftentimes it'll be like one shoe bin and then all the hard goods, and the hard goods people are like scrappy. And so I don't do those are probably where the fights are.
It's like a gang.
Our new word. Scrappy.
a gang, huh?
Wow. And it's like I'm always scared in the hard goods that like there's going to be glass or like that makes me nervous. But they usually do the shoes with the hard goods, and then it's like one bin of shoes, and you have the 35 shoe sellers. Yeah. And so I don't usually actually do the shoes. Nope. I used to. You get good stuff though when the price is right.
Yeah.
But it's just not worth it.
You can.
I love the bins, but not being around people. So I always go to the bins that are already picked when the new bins come out and still find great stuff. I would agree with this. I do this, especially during COVID. I've done that. Yeah. And I found some pretty good stuff that everyone's there looking for something different.
That is true. Yeah.
And so you can often find stuff. The thing that I don't like doing, I will do it when I need inventory. I don't like taking donations. I don't have fancy enough friends and a family.
Yeah.
That like none of their stuff. I mean, I love my friends, but like they're like, oh, do you want to sell my stuff? And I always take donations because anything that I don't sell, I donate to a local nonprofit here that has like a free boutique for moms, single parents and their kids to come in and they can just shop. So I always take people's donations and then go through it. But very rarely. I have one friend. That's a lie. I do have one friend. She used to work at Lululemon. And so it's her stuff. I was like, I will take your stuff whenever you have it. And her stuff always sells. So all my other, like my friends and family aren't. I mean, they're like, oh, here's my Target from 10 years ago. And
you're like,
cool.
Let's just donate it.
Right. And so I take it, but I don't. So I won't say that I won't do it, but I'm not. I've tried that like business model during COVID when we couldn't get inventory, even like picking up people's stuff off of Nextdoor. And I never had luck with it. So I'm glad for people who have. I think we are going to stop it there because I do have children to pick up. So thank you guys so much for joining. Great guests and everyone in the chat. If you guys upcycle, yes. Tori, I used to upcycle. So if you guys don't follow Tori, she has a YouTube channel. She is like a TikTok queen and she does a lot of upcycle and sewing on her channel, but I used to upcycle, and every time I watch her videos I'm like, I'm just gonna pull out my sewing machine again, and then I'm not going to. Like, she inspires me, and I'm like, I could totally do that, and then I'm like, in what time am I going to do that? I am doing weekly lives again, so if you guys are out there and you do want to come on and try and have kind of a topic for the week. But if you want to just come on and chat with us, or you have a topic in mind that you are really passionate about, I'm open to having lots of different people on. I think we all have lots of things to share with each other. So send me a DM if you're interested in coming on the channel. As I said, I'll put Anna up here as well. Anna and I are starting a weekly chat every single Friday, kind of like a recap. By Friday, we're both done with work. So we're just going to hop on and kind of chat about our week and whatever comes up, maybe have guests on here and there. So definitely make sure to subscribe if you guys want to follow these chats, and then also lots of really good content. I've been cranking out some YouTube videos recently. So definitely make sure to subscribe. And Rosie and Jaron, thank you guys so much for coming on. And everyone,
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Bye, guys.
See you later.
Oh, see, that's my alarm.